welcome to this week's episode of Denim and Blazers. We're here with the awesome and talented Miss Andrea Davis. How you doing?
I am good. How are you?
Good, good. I'm glad you're here with me.
I'm glad to be here.
So I do things a little backwards. I normally ask you, what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. Well, that's a valid question. I am an author.
Oh.
I'm a singer and I'm a songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
The common thread in all of that is that I promote my personal belief in Jesus Christ.
Right.
It's the ministry that God has given me, but He's allowed me to entertain people in the process.
Right. You do it in a beautiful and helpful way.
That's
You
my goal.
learn. It doesn't come across judgmental per se. It's very entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've had a very colorful life and I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
And if somebody can glean something from my mistakes and perhaps avoid some of the things that I've done, God bless them.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, what name do you go by when you're writing?
My writing pseudonym is A.E. Thomas. That is my initials, and that's my mom's maiden name, Thomas.
Cool.
So I just kind of put those two together, and that's my writing pseudonym. And the reason for that is I wanted to keep the two entities separate.
Mm-hmm.
The singing and songwriting is one ministry. The book writing is another.
Mm-hmm.
Although they both come from me, they're just
Right.
separate.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it makes sense. Is this your passion?
This is my total passion.
Mm-hmm.
I've given up everything to pursue this. Six-figure job, a life that was pretty carefree, if you don't mind me using that, and it was burning in my soul to come home and do what God told me to do.
Right.
And I have no regrets.
Yeah, that's a great thing. As they say, success, meaning the financial aspect of it, without being happy or fulfillment, is just void. It's just void.
It's just void. And I see now that I believe that even though when I say I had a six-figure job, it was overseas, which is part of why I wrote the books. But I believe that it was all a platform to get me to right where I am today.
Right.
I didn't know that 8 years ago, 10 now when I went over there. But now looking back, hindsight is 20/20.
Right.
I see that this was the end result that God wanted all along.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to be willing to help someone. That's awesome.
Yes.
Do you have a preference between platforms? Like which one's more your favorite, writing or singing? Well, you write either way.
Right.
But even performing, just whatever.
I was just, like you said, the root of both of them is the writing. So I would have to say that's I can get lost in writing. I can write for hours.
Really?
Like all day. Included in that is my research, my study of the Word of God, that sort of thing. But, it's all inclusive.
Okay.
As far as the singing and songwriting, that's been a passion my entire life. But in all honesty, the whole idea behind me putting out the collection that I put out is to showcase my songwriting skills for other people. I would like to write songs for other people, other gospel artists and that sort of thing. But I'm also not opposed to doing them myself.
Okay.
But, if I can't sell them, I'll do them.
Right.
And the good thing is I have the ability.
Exactly, because everybody think they can write, but to be a true lyricist and be able to write something and tell a story in that small amount of time, that is a great gift.
I consider it so. Yes.
Yeah, I don't have it. I could just be singing your song and just tearing it up in the car. You sure don't want me presenting it to nobody.
That's okay, as long as you enjoy it. That's okay.
I'm a car entertainer. That's what I do. So how did you? I know you said you started writing from a very young age. That's what I was about to say. How did you start? But what made you take that leap and go ahead and take action on a professional level?
I've always wanted to write a book, like you said, since I could read, which was early.
Okay.
For some reason, and no one taught me. I could read before I ever went to school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I went in kindergarten reading. So that was a weird thing. Nobody really understood it. But it was always so insurmountable to me. It's like, who can sit down and write a whole book? You know, that's a lot, and blah, 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 blah. All the excuses we come up with, right? And that was for years. I just kept clamping down on it. When I would think about it, it's like, it's too much. I'm a mother, I have a young daughter, I'm a wife, I'm a this, I'm a that. But it got to the point where I had none of those excuses. You know, time will catch up with you. And it was just like, okay, I need to do this. You know, I need to do this, but now I have a focus. I have a theme. I have a goal in mind. I'm not just writing books to make money.
Okay.
I'm writing books to change people. Hopefully, something in there will change you forever. For the better.
For the better.
For the better.
For the better. Yeah. So have you began figuring out, or have you gotten it down pat, your dance in between business and your love for writing? Because, you know, there's that difference.
Yes,
it's what you like to do, and then the business part of it.
The business part of it is still a struggle. I'm just going to be honest. According to my daughter, that's you creative people. She always says that. She's like, you just want to create. She said, but you don't want to market, you don't want to promote. And that is true. If I could avoid that piece of it, I would, but you can't.
Right.
You know, because the whole idea is to get it out, get it to the public so that they can enjoy it. And again, like I said, experience those changes I was talking about. Nobody you know, it's great that you love to write it and you love to sing it and you love to do it, but if you're not sharing it,
you
know, exactly. Yes. So I am in the process. I'm much better than I was, and I'm in the process.
Think it's a process to get comfortable with this.
I mean, if you're blessed enough to be one of those quote unquote overnight successes, God bless you, but most of us have to grow organically.
Right.
You know, just making connections, showing up at places, speaking at places, you know, whatever your thing is. I'm talking from my point of view. But if you're the book, you know, the baker, the candlestick maker, whatever you are, you know, you have to grow it organically and start making those connections and start being where you need to be and doing what you need to do.
Right. It's, that is not as easy as it sounds.
It's really and I'm going to tell you something else. Everybody wants to be paid. Nobody does anything for free. So that can become an issue, you know, depending on what you're trying to do. That's where a lot of people fall off. You know, I got to pay somebody to promote. I got to pay to get the book out. I got to pay the publisher. I have to pay this person. I have to pay that person. I have to pay to have it edited.
Yes.
You're in the thousands by then.
And trying to keep a roof over your head and eat something in between.
Exactly. Get shoes for the kids. You know, school is starting and all that good. None of that goes away because you have a dream and a goal. All those things, like you said, you have to mesh them together and figure out what you can do and what you cannot do. My advice, what I've learned from, is really focusing on what you can.
You can't really do anything about what you can't.
So, because a lot of times you get so frustrated, your cans get shoved into the same corner with your can'ts. And no, do your cans.
You just give up.
Yeah, you just give up. It is for, you get a lot of no's in this business. A lot of no's, a lot of unreturned phone calls and unreturned emails. Those are not the ones you're worried about. That one that does return your call, that one that does return your email, focus on them.
And that's where your blessings are. Yes. Your daughter, she's grown now.
Yes.
So, but does she still? My kids, my youngest is 17. They still give me the blues.
Oh, yes.
So did you get mommy guilt sometime?
I do. A lot of times she wants to do things, and I'm like, Brie, I have to write. You know, I have to study. I have to do research. You know, my head is buried in a book. And she wants to go shopping.
That's the least thing you're worried about.
Yes, indeed. So, yeah, I still experience a little, and I'm also a grandmother now. Brianna has a 2-year-old. So it comes into play a lot with her. You know, she wants all my time and all my attention, and sometimes it's just like, oh, I can't. But it's hard to say no to her. I'll tell Bree no in a heartbeat. She get a little one. It's hard.
So, like, where do you see your company in a few years? Like, I know your main mission is to be able to teach people and lead people to Jesus Christ. But also, you know, like, where do you see that going in the future?
My goal where I would like to see it go is outside the church. I am an ordained minister. I'm a teacher of the Word of God. And that's great. I love it. But like Jesus said, people that are not sick don't need a doctor.
Right.
So I'd like to take my message, my music, and my ministry to platforms that are not necessarily churchy, if you would.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'd like to go to some group homes. I'd like to go to prisons. I'd like to speak to people that may not be able to walk into church on Sunday morning. They may not be able to visit Bible study on Wednesday night.
Right.
You know, and that's the whole purpose of the books. Those books are not geared toward church folk.
Right.
They're geared toward people that may not, for whatever reason, step into a church.
Right.
But the message is embodied in that story.
Right.
So God, to me, gave me a very creative way to get His word out to people in real time, in today's language, with issues that people deal with today. Adultery is a big issue.
It is.
Whether we want to talk about it or not,
Right.
it is a huge issue. And so why not use that one?
Right. At some point, people can relate to it at some point, whether it's been them themselves or they've experienced how it's affected their family or friends. So it's very relatable. And I think it's more people at the church can read the book than what they act like.
I completely agree.
They can relate. They can relate.
They need to look in there and take a glance at some of that stuff. Absolutely.
What are 2 frequently asked questions you get?
2 frequently asked questions. I'll take one for music and one for books.
Cool.
About the books, how did you come up with the idea? That everybody asks me that.
Okay.
And I worked overseas on a military installation, U.S. military installation for 8 years as a civilian contractor. But at any given time, there's 30,000 U.S. soldiers out there, not including the ones from other nations. Over, I would say, easily over 100,000 contractors. Not all from the U.S. again, but they're there. Excuse me. And while I was there, I saw a lot.
Yeah.
I was in a war zone. Afghanistan is declared a war zone. You know, I have friends in Kuwait and places like that. Those are not war zones. Afghanistan is. So I was in a real war zone, real rockets going over my head.
Right.
But I still saw so much. I saw people that were married, had spouses here. And I'm not only talking about men, I'm talking about women too. Living with people out there. I don't mean like spending some nights. I mean living in the same container, eating together every night, going to movies.
Wow.
And just like they didn't have this life back here. I never. What really sparked my interest was I worked in human resources, so I knew more than maybe the average person would know. And this guy had came in because his wife had just had a baby, and he needed to add the baby to his benefits.
Wow.
But I knew this guy, and I knew his girlfriend, and they were coming back from R&R together. Because see, that kind of stuff, you're 6,000 miles from the U.S.
Right.
No one can just come to Afghanistan and sneak up on you. You have to have what they call a letter of authorization from the government. Because that's a war zone. You can't just fly there.
Right.
You can only get there through the military. So you don't have to worry about anybody sneaking up on you or driving up, doing a drive-by.
You're doing whatever you want.
You can do whatever you want. It's like a whole different world out there, just like you said. And it's just like, this is amazing. Your wife just had a baby. Matter of fact, the turning point was that him and her walked in together to add his new baby that him and his wife had onto his benefits.
Wow.
That's how convoluted it gets.
Wow. That's a lot.
That's
That's
a
a lot.
But let me tell you, it's common out there.
It's very common, and it's odd you're saying that, and I love that you've written about it. I used to work in a hair salon. So you would see women coming in the salon venting about whatever was happening, or if the story finally made it home.
Yes.
And, some of them, you see families just crushed behind it.
Destroyed.
Yeah.
And a lot of Army wives will not read my book.
They won't. It's too much for them.
There was this one book club, one girl wanted to do, it was a rather large book club because it's through the Army kind of thing, and they hurried up and shut that down. Like,
wow. They're not ready. They're not ready.
Truth hurts.
Yeah, it does. It does.
And the soldiers were no better because a lot of them shacked up with the civilian girls, you know, and many of them were married.
Right. You would hear stories. It would just be like, wow.
It's just in their minds. We know this is not the truth. But
can you provide the audience with your information to get your materials and everything?
Absolutely. I'll start with the books. My writing pseudonym is A.E. Thomas. The book series that's out right now is called Project Whores. And I did say whores. I didn't say wars. And people think because it's over in the military, I said wars. No, I said whores, WHORES. But that is a play on words. Okay. When you work on those installations over there, it's called a project. And those projects were never meant to be long-term. Okay. They're the kind of jobs, because it's a very austere environment. The reason they pay so much is because you don't have privacy. Everything is communal. Okay. Bathrooms, eating, you know, everything is diner style. You sit next to people, you have no idea who they are, and you eat. You know,
when I started reading the book, I was like, wow, it was like my first eye-opening experience to picture what I've heard about.
Yes. So everything is communal. You give up all the comforts of home, and they pay you for that. In addition to the work that you do, you get hazard pay because you're in a war zone, and you get comfort pay, so to speak, because you've left your home, you've left your family to come and do this work. That said, excuse me, they never meant for you to be out there for 10 years. Okay. It's like a thing you would do 1 year, maybe 2 at the most, and then come back home. You know, pay off your bills, do whatever you have to do, because you get a huge tax break in addition to making all the money. So there's no excuse for you not to be able to, you know, do what you came out there to do to make your financial goals. But people get out there and they get addicted to the money. They get addicted to that lifestyle. I mean, you fix somebody washes your clothes. Somebody takes you everywhere you have to go. You get a big paycheck every 2 weeks.
Right.
They make all your food. You don't have to wash not one dish.
It's not realistic.
It's really not. It's really not. You drop your clothes off at the laundry. You go pick them up. They're washed and folded. It's nice. But you can see how that would start. You know, you get used to the not having the privacy and all of that. That gets to, you know, pushed to the wayside. So they get used to that, and 1 year turns to 2, and 2 to 3, and before you know it, you've been over there 10. I know people that's been over there 20 years. Wow. 20 years. Yeah. And when you stay over there that long, out there, they start calling you a project whore. Okay. Like, you just can't get enough. You meet people, they're like, I've worked in Kuwait, I've worked in Afghanistan, I've worked in Iraq. Right. You know, they've been all over the place. They are what we would call a project whore. Okay. Because they're out there sucking up all the money, not giving nobody else a chance to come over and get some, you know. But the other side to that, no, it's hard. And that's too long. I'm telling people that's been over there that long, you could tell. They are under socialized. They're institutionalized at that point. Seriously.
I can't see trying to maintain a family here and be gone that long.
Impossible. Yeah. And that's what I said. When you've been over here that long and you still married, both of y'all got something going on. She's glad when you go back, and you glad to go back.
Yes. Just make your deposit and go.
Yeah, just go. But the flip side is you get out there on the project and you become a whore. Because a lot of men, they don't live with one woman. They just have 10 women. Wow. And a lot of women, again, this is not all about the men. Those women get out there and they give those men a run for their money. And some of them are just, absolutely.
It affects your mind.
Absolutely. You are not the same person. Yeah. You're not the same person.
That's awesome that you wrote the book. It's a awesome book.
And so many people that are over there, they thought it was going to be like a tell-all. It's not a tell-all. It's a story.
Were they trying to make sure you weren't telling
Oh,
all?
I have so many guys that post, I hope my wife never reads this book. Like, they're making sure she never even hears of it.
Wow.
Like, seriously, they're like, I hope she never reads this.
Wow.
And some of them are innocent, but they're like, if she ever reads this, she's never going to believe that I'm not Kyle Brewster.
And he's not going to be able to go back in peace. Oh my gosh.
And then the music, I've just always loved to write songs.
Mm-hmm.
So, all my music is under Andrea Davis.
Mm-hmm.
It is available on 18 different music platforms, including Amazon, Spotify, Apple,
Mm-hmm.
all the big ones. It's
Okay.
there. Shazam, all of them. You'll find it. If you Google me, I come right up.
Awesome.
And those songs were just songs out of my heart. And I wrote them and I recorded them.
That's amazing. It's nice to have a thought and to know that you can make that thought a reality.
Absolutely.
You just got to do it.
You have to do it.
Yes.
You have to do it. And again, oftentimes it will take everything you have.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the way Joel Osteen says it. How big is your want to?
Wow.
How badly do you want it?
That's the only way it can happen.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Do you have a way that the audience can find you? Are you on any social media or anything like
I
that?
am. You can music. It's the same across the board, so I don't have to try to remember a lot of things. It's Andrea Davis Music.
Okay.
That's Instagram. That's everything. That's Facebook.
Okay.
And then for the writing, it's A.E. Thomas Author.
Okay.
Across the board.
You just keep it easy.
Girl, I can't remember all that stuff.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, that's how you find me. I had a problem on Google,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a long story. I won't go into it, but my music got mixed up by an algorithm with an established artist, and so it had to be taken down and started over. So it literally just got back on Google 2 or 3 days ago.
Wow.
But it is on there again.
What's the name of the album?
He Will Answer by
Mhm.
Andrea Davis.
By Andrea Davis.
Mhm.
Y'all have to get it, y'all.
It's a great mix.
Yes.
It's got jazz on there. It's got contemporary.
Mhm.
I think I did a little traditional on there. So I think it's a good mix. And most people across age groups, across ethnicities, really enjoy it.
Yeah, it is good. It is good. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show with me.
I appreciate you having me. I appreciate you doing this for artists and business owners, giving them a platform, giving them a voice. It's so needed, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys. Well, hopefully next week I'll see you on the episode of Denim and Blazing.